Hey y'all, it's Jenni Moseley
and Dr. Ryan Reeves.
And we are here live with the Elevate Effect. It's time to take the dental field to a whole nother level. Fly with me, folks. Let's get real and let's get uncomfortable. All right, hey y'all, how you doing? Good morning. It's a bright and early hot day. Humidity pretty
100%.
I mean, you walk outside and you get punched right in the face. It's pretty incredible. So I don't know where y'all live, but I guess we take it with the beauty that we have. But it is pretty hot. So, all right. So we wanted to chat a little bit today about I think the dental field tends to focus a lot on the wrong things, not on purpose, but I just think it's the norm. And something that we try to hone in on and practice every single day is to focus your mindset and on the right things. And so we've been discussing lately and been reading books and, coming back old school, kind of have an old school thought as to what I read. And I'm sure you all have heard of the 80-20 principle, the Pareto principle, and all those things. Well, it's that concept where, 20% of what you do is how you get 80% of the results, or 20% of what you do creates 80% of the results. And it's a fascinating principle. I mean, some people can, debate against it, but if you hone in on it, then you research even deeper, you open up a world of books, one of them being Stephen Covey's book of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where you want to live in a certain quadrant to provide success and predictability. So anyway, we'd like to discuss that with y'all today, because I don't know if anyone's just sitting out there, taking a deep breath in their chair going, shoot, I'm tired and it's only 11 o'clock. So I mentioned something to Ryan about a week ago, and I think we, want to get into it with you because I think it would be real interesting, but you let us know. Last weekend I get up real early in the morning and, try to eat my frog the first thing and want to throw up in the garage and work out really hard. What do you do first thing in the morning?
Does everybody know what eating the frog is?
Well, do you?
I think what it is doing something that you really don't want to do. That is probably difficult. It's probably a stretch. It's probably very uncomfortable. But if you accomplish that task, it leads to better things, whether it's health or professional goals or things like that.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, go back to Mark Twain days, I like doing this. It's like chucking and jiving doll. Boom, boom. Yeah. Okay. Go back to Mark Twain days. I mean, there's a concept out there about eat the frog. And, if it's that hard task in life that you feel like is never going to go away, or you feel like is going to go away if you just avoid it. But then you turn back around and there's that damn frog staring at you. It doesn't move. You can poke at it. It's still going to stare at you with the warts and all. And the concept is, just eat it, get it over with. Because once you do that, imagine how easy everything else in life is. So if you do eat your frog the first thing in the morning, then the rest of your day is like cake. So what do you do first thing in the morning? Do you eat your frog?
I think just getting up is eating a frog for me.
Okay.
Getting up early is one of my least favorite things.
What's your favorite time to get up?
8:30.
Oh my word, folks.
Yeah. I'd never get to do that, but that's, so yeah, up early.
So getting up, how do you get up?
I have a hepatic alarm that wakes me.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
What noise does it make?
So, instead of a horrible buzzing sound like most alarms are, I wear something that I can set it to wake me up either on a specific time or at a specific time, or something based on my recovery from the day before. And so it buzzes on my wrist for, I forget how many seconds. It's, I don't know, 10 seconds or something. And so I wake up that way, which is a lot more pleasant than
kids jumping on you, or a dog licking your face. Yeah.
Kids crying.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the normal way I wake up.
Yeah. I mean, Reeves decided to have 3 kids. I'm not sure why.
They're a blessing.
I'm sure.
They are. They
Anyway,
are.
so eat your frog. So honestly, for us personally, I think that's why we try as hard as we can to stay in the second quadrant. Let me go into that a little bit. So Stephen Covey, if you just read any of his books, I mean, this one is really, really, to me, most beneficial for the dental field. I was given the book 20 years ago by even Brad. And it just really, I live a lot of my life towards it. And I think that's why we survive in this building. But, most dental people live in a quadrant that is of urgency, and their urgency is to them the most important thing. And and that's why you run around, and this quadrant is like emergencies, insurance, team, it just, there's so much that we live in and we just deal with. We wake up and we wait for the urgent moment to be there to deal with it. And in our practice, because we focus on the 80-20 rule, we live in the quadrant that creates most success, and that's the second quadrant. It's you live in the most important things, but they're not urgent. You are planning, you're strategizing, you're focusing on marketing and branding. You're doing the things that create the action, and the action creates the result. So most people actually sit inside of the action and lose their shit all day. We sit ourselves inside of the planning and the strategy so that the action just comes naturally, and the result is just our cake. And so, I'm dealing, I deal with a lot of clients that are dentists, and, they'll come to me at like today, the 28th of the month, and they're like, I'm low. What's going on? Why am I low? My numbers are under. I'm like, that's interesting. Why wouldn't we talk? Let's look at we have tracking sheets. Let's look at the tracking sheet. You started to get low on like the 13th. Why are we talking about it now? For me, if I have 2 days in a row of non-success to get me where I want to be, I'm thinking now, okay, what is my plan? What do I need to strategize? Who do I have to call? What do I got to do to make decisions? Now, this could bring up a subject that Ryan and I mean, could go over.
Well, this is good because when
Yes.
we get at it, when we butt heads, it's because we're not living wholly in quadrant 2.
Hell
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, I know you know that. I just realized that.
Oh,
So,
I'm going to cry. We have moments.
yeah, well, for sure. Who doesn't? But
Well, here's the thing. One of okay, there's the 7 habits. One of the habits is called a win-win. I think it's number 6, 5 or 6. And I think the reason why, Ryan is a tough cookie to work with. Just let's be real. Maybe all of you dentists are. And if you can find a personality personally like mine, I mean, you have to seek to understand, before you are understood yourself. And that goes alongside with the win-win relationship. You if you think about win lose, I mean, Stephen Covey does this really cool whole like speech on it. It's like, well, if you win lose, you lose, and if you lose win, you lose. So why wouldn't you want to win win? A lot of people don't know how to do that. And so Ryan and I go at each other a lot, but I think at the end, I mean, if we should write a book that just has all of our text communications, because it's like you would see us wanting to shoot each other. And at the end, it's like, oh, I love you, man. Because we truly are in for a win-win. And we live, if one of us can get each other in the second quadrant, then we feel like greatness happens. And then we realize, okay, here we are. And so I believe everything happened for a reason. And we just had this a few days ago. And then I pulled out these books this weekend and started reading big time, because it is so true. I mean, think about, you're in the dental office, and Ryan, you could speak to this. It's like, what, there's activity. Look, I even wrote on our whiteboard, there's activity versus results. The activity is new opportunity, planning, relationship building, prevention. The results, discipline, vision, perspective, balance, view, crisis. This is the non-urgent, important quadrant. And so, what are you guys in the dental field? Are you working on those things? Are you constantly thinking of prevention, even prevention of dentistry and dental problems? Are you spending enough time planning? I mean, are you spending enough time in relationship building with either your partner in the building or your team? Because those activities will create the results of the vision, of perspective, of discipline. If you're running around in the first quadrant of, oh my gosh, my numbers are low. What am I going to do? I got to call a different company. I got to make a different change. I got to do this, my team, blah, 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 blah. I mean, Ryan's got a revolving door as a dental assistant. And if like, it's not going to, what are we going to do? Shut our doors? I mean, you got to just focus on what the focus should be on. I mean, isn't that, I mean, we just constantly get proof that we need to live there because we could switch fairly
Yeah.
easily.
I think oftentimes following larger months, I think that's where we fall out of the quadrant two.
Great point. Because that's a lot of dentistry to be done after a lot of dentistry that was sold. Now remember 80/20. 80% is what you get from 20%. So because we are so fine-tuned in our sales process, we don't see a lot of people. We only see 20% of our, right? 20% of our people give us 80% of the results. So that means we've got now 80% to produce and deliver at a level that's pretty remarkable. So Ryan just made a good point. It's like, okay, that's the time where it's like, now I got to actually perform all this dentistry. And he gets a little stuck in that left quadrant one.
Well, yeah, you need a partner to do this stuff,
True.
both selling and then the actual doing. And I think that's a huge piece that I struggle with is obviously I have that partner in the sales room, but I don't seem to find the partner in the actual dental room.
Right.
And that's certainly, it's not more important, but it's as important. And I think I just get really antsy and anxious when I don't feel like my partner in the room is prepared for what we're doing. Because I need a teammate, and I can't seem to get somebody to care as much, or I think maybe it's I don't feel like they care as much,
Well,
which
let's
which
talk
might
about
not
this.
be.
Is it important and urgent, or is it important and not urgent? Do you feel like sometimes you make it more of an urgent thing than it should be, and that's why you get fizzled out?
Well, possibly, but I think it's completely preventable. That's what chart reviews for.
Well, again, the average person to work in this kind of practice, it takes 2 years to become good at it.
Right.
These girls don't last 6 months.
Right.
We're not giving them enough time. It takes a long time. Remember, we're asking the 80/20 rule here.
Mm-hmm.
We're asking for more results than the effort they put in. That means the effort they put in has to be spot on. That takes a long time to learn. They're used to running around like chickens and run. They live in quadrant one.
Right. Right.
And so we bring them in here. We ask them to live in quadrant two. But think about it. They come in here and we give them this beautiful thing. And we say, now you're allowed to not run around with your head cut off. You're allowed to take deep breaths. We want you to focus on a different focus. It's hard for you to even do that every day.
Yeah.
So when you come in and you're spun up and you're sitting in quadrant one, it's a completely different focus of what you're creating for them to do. It's like, which one do you want? Do you want me to live in the 80/20 rule? Or do you want me to go back and just live in this sense of urgency? And again, they can only get really good at smaller amounts if they're able to focus on that smaller amount.
Well, how do you? I guess I still don't understand how it's like the minute the person goes from being sort of a more of a normal assistant to just doing dentistry to doing the other part outside of the actual just room, that things fall apart.
Well, let's look at the list. Quadrant 2 is important and not urgent, right?
Mm-hmm.
The activities there are relationship building, planning, new opportunity. Do you do any of those things with your assistant? Any of you guys out there too. This is just not about Ryan, because truly, I mean, we're on this to bring up and to have a community of all of us in this dental world that are just trying to be the best that we can at our profession. And we're no better than anybody. We're just weirdos that want to take other concepts and put it into a profession where people don't put them in. So now we're just trying to share it with you, because we truly tend to live out what others can't. When there's crisis, we are the ones that actually have the ability and the risk to figure it out and then share. So it's really just not about you, but are you guys spending time and relationship building? And are you talking about the new opportunities that come in your room with your assistant? Are you sitting down and planning with them? And are you creating to prove? It says to improve on capability. Are you planning prevention? If you know that possibly this person did something the time before, are you sitting down and going, okay, last time we had this happen, and again, maybe you're not given enough time, Ryan. Maybe you need to block out time on one of your days, a half a day once a month or something like that. I mean, do you need to do some of these things with this person?
Yeah, I definitely think so. But it seems like I need a translator.
That is true. But why is that, Ryan? Because you share. I'm sure
Yeah, well,
dentists out there are probably feeling the same.
I get really frustrated with situations, and I think I'm not upset or frustrated with a person as much as I am just a situation that a could have been avoided or should have been avoided. Um, and I guess I don't know. That's just where I get hung up. I think it just people perceive that I'm upset at them when I'm not.
Okay. But again, let's look at, do they know you?
No,
Should they?
I don't know. Should they? I mean,
If in this building, I don't mean you got to go out there and hang out with somebody, but do
mhm.
they know you in this building? Do they understand you?
I don't even know where to begin with how to have have that interaction.
I think you should I mean, again, you just look at that list. I have a feeling that we are connecting with many people out there, because I think that there's probably even managers, and I'm not a manager, but there's probably even managers out there that are struggling even with dentists and having a revolving door. And why can't we find assistants? And we tend to say, well, it's the generation, or these days nobody wants to work, or, and it's like, well, I mean, I personally want to constantly blame myself. I don't know why, but because then I won't learn. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I think I realized with this last one that we left where we thrive, and that is in quadrant 2.
Mm-hmm.
And when we leave there, we freak out, and then we lead by freaking out.
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah. I mean, every other quadrant is so uncomfortable, which is why it's a bad place to be.
why do we go there?
Gosh, I don't know.
All right, guys. Well, lots of information we went over. That was the end of part 1. Stay tuned. We got a whole nother section of part 2 coming next week.